There comes a moment in every life when you realize something powerful, something that changes everything. You understand that no one is coming to save you, not your parents, not your friends, not society, and not time itself. That moment is not scary. That moment is liberating. The greatest secret to taking full responsibility for your life is this: you must accept that you are the creator of your experience. For many years, we directly are taught indirectly to hand our power away. We blame our past for our pain. We blame other people for our disappointments. We blame circumstances for our lack of progress. And while some of those experiences are real, painful, and unfair, staying there keeps us stuck. Blame feels comfortable, but it steals your future. The truth is, the moment you say, "This is my life and I own it," everything shifts. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? That question alone changes your destiny. Taking responsibility does not mean you are responsible for everything that happened to you, but it does mean you are responsible for what happens next. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for perfect timing. You stop waiting for someone to understand you. You understand that growth begins where excuses end. And here is the miracle: responsibility gives you freedom. Freedom from resentment, freedom from victimhood, freedom from repeating the same story year after year. When you own your choices, you own your power. When you own your mistakes, you gain wisdom. When you own your pain, you turn it into purpose. Every challenge you face is asking you one question: who are you becoming through this? Life is not happening to you. Life is responding to you. The secret is not control. It is ownership. Ownership of your thoughts, ownership of your reactions, ownership of your future. The day you stop pointing fingers is the day you start building the life you deserve. Because when you take full responsibility for your life, you don't just change your circumstances, you change yourself. And when you change yourself, everything changes. At some point in life, there comes a quiet but powerful realization: no matter where you go, no matter what you change, you are always there. Different places, different people, different situations, but the one constant in every experience of your life is you. This understanding is not meant to create guilt or pressure. It is meant to awaken awareness. Most people spend years searching for reasons outside themselves to explain why their life looks the way it does. They point to circumstances, background, luck, society, family, or timing. While these factors do influence us, they are not the final authority over our lives. The deepest truth is this: you are the common denominator in every result you experience. Every success you celebrate and every setback you struggle with connects back to choices you made, habits you formed, or decisions you delayed. Sometimes those choices were conscious, and sometimes they were made out of fear, doubt, or survival. But they were still choices, and recognizing this is not about blame. It is about power. When you see yourself as the common denominator, you stop living as a passive observer of your own life. You stop saying, "This just keeps happening to me," and start saying, "What part did I play in this, and what can I do differently?" That shift in thinking changes everything. It moves you from reaction to intention. Many people misunderstand responsibility. They think it means carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders. In reality, responsibility means clarity. It means understanding that if something in your life is not working, your relationships, your mindset, your career, your emotional state, you have the ability to influence it. Not overnight, not perfectly, but consistently. When you accept that you are the common denominator, excuses begin to lose their grip. You realize that waiting for external change without internal change leads to the same outcomes repeating themselves. New environment, same habits. New opportunity, same mindset. New year, same patterns. The repetition is not bad luck, it is unexamined behavior. This awareness can feel uncomfortable at first because it removes the comfort of blaming others. But discomfort is often the doorway to growth. Once you stop handing your power away, you begin to reclaim it piece by piece. You start asking better questions. You become more honest with yourself. You develop emotional maturity. Being the common denominator also means you are not stuck. If you contributed to creating your current reality, you can also contribute to changing it. That is where hope lies. Your past decisions do not define you forever. They simply inform you. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to choose again. When life feels overwhelming, this perspective brings grounding. Instead of feeling helpless, you focus on what is within your control, your attitude, your effort, your response, your boundaries, your discipline. These small daily choices compound into transformation. Taking responsibility does not erase pain, but it gives pain a purpose. It turns lessons into wisdom and mistakes into teachers. It reminds you that you are not powerless in your own story. The moment you fully accept that you are the common denominator, you step into adulthood of the soul. You stop waiting for rescue and start building resilience. You stop asking life for permission and start showing up with intention. Because when you realize that you are the common denominator, you also realize something even more powerful: you are capable of change. Blame is one of the most subtle and destructive habits we develop, often without realizing it. It begins as a way to protect ourselves from pain, disappointment, and fear. When something goes wrong, blaming someone else or some external situation feels easier than sitting with the uncomfortable truth. But while blame may offer temporary relief, it silently blocks growth, healing, and progress. The moment blame enters your mindset, your power begins to leave. Every time you say, "If only they had done this," or if the situation were different, you place control of your life in someone else's hands. Blame shifts your focus outward, convincing you that change must come from the outside before your life can improve. And that belief keeps you waiting. Blame is comforting because it tells a familiar story. It's not my fault. But comfort is not the same as transformation. Growth requires honesty, and honesty begins when you are willing to look at your own role in your experiences. This does not mean ignoring injustice, trauma, or unfair treatment. It means refusing to let those experiences define the rest of your life. When you blame, you stay emotionally tied to the past. You relive old wounds again and again, giving them power over your present. Blame keeps you stuck in the same conversations, the same emotional reactions, the same patterns of disappointment. It becomes a mental prison built from unresolved feelings. Releasing blame is not about excusing others. It is about freeing yourself. Forgiveness, in its deepest form, is not something you do for someone else. It is something you do to reclaim your own peace. When you stop blaming, you stop leaking energy. That energy can finally be used to build, heal, and grow. Blame also blocks accountability. As long as you believe someone else is responsible for your situation, you will not take the steps needed to change it. Responsibility cannot coexist with blame. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. The choice between them that determines the direction of your life. Many people fear that letting go of blame means accepting weakness. In reality, it requires strength. It takes courage to say, I can't change what happened, but I can change how I respond. That mindset shifts you from being a victim of circumstances to being a participant in your own evolution. When blame dissolves, clarity appears. You begin to see patterns instead of enemies. You recognize lessons instead of losses. You realize that every challenge is offering feedback, pointing you toward growth, awareness, and maturity. Life becomes a teacher instead of an opponent. Blame also damages relationships. It creates distance, defensiveness, and resentment. When you release blame, communication improves, empathy grows, and understanding becomes possible. Even when relationships end, you gain closure instead of bitterness. Letting go of blame does not mean denying your pain. It means honoring it without allowing it to control you. Pain acknowledged becomes wisdom. Pain resisted becomes suffering. The difference lies in responsibility. The greatest shift happens when you realize this: you may not be responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for what you allow to happen next. That realization marks the beginning of true freedom. Blame will always offer an excuse, but responsibility offers a future. And the moment you choose responsibility over blame, you remove the biggest blocker standing between you and the life you are capable of creating. Many people hear the word responsibility and immediately feel resistance. It sounds heavy, restrictive, and overwhelming, as if it means carrying the weight of the world alone. But this understanding is incomplete. In truth, responsibility is not a burden, it is a pathway to freedom. When you fully understand this, your entire relationship with life changes. Responsibility means recognizing that you have influence over your choices, your mindset, and your direction, even when circumstances are difficult. It is not about controlling everything that happens to you, it is about controlling how you respond. The moment you accept responsibility, you stop seeing yourself as trapped and begin seeing yourself as capable. Freedom does not come from having no problems. It comes from knowing that no matter what problem arises, you have the inner strength to face it. Responsibility gives you that confidence. It tells you, I may not like this situation, but I trust myself to handle it. That trust is the foundation of self-respect. When you avoid responsibility, you also avoid freedom. You become dependent on people's approval, external validation, or perfect conditions. You wait for life to be easier before you act. Responsibility breaks that cycle. It shifts you from waiting to choosing, from wishing to doing. There is a deep peace that comes with owning your life. When you take responsibility, you stop being surprised by your own reactions. You become more intentional. You recognize your triggers, your patterns, your emotional habits. Awareness gives you choice, and choice gives you freedom. Responsibility also frees you from the need to explain yourself. When you own your decisions, you no longer need to justify them to everyone. You understand your values and you act in alignment with them. That alignment creates confidence, and confidence creates calm. Many people fear responsibility because they associate it with failure. They think, if I take responsibility and fail, it will prove I'm not enough. But responsibility reframes failure. Failure becomes feedback, not a final judgment. Every mistake becomes information that helps you grow stronger and wiser. When you take responsibility, you stop repeating the same lessons. You begin to learn faster, you adjust sooner, you evolve. Life stops feeling like a series of punishments and starts feeling like a process of refinement. True freedom is internal. It is not about doing whatever you want, it is about doing what aligns with who you want to become. Responsibility gives you the discipline to choose long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. And that discipline creates a life you respect. Responsibility also liberates you from resentment. When you own your role, you stop carrying anger toward others. You recognize that holding on to resentment keeps you tied to the past. Letting go allows you to move forward with clarity and lightness. The most powerful form of freedom is knowing that your future is not controlled by your past. Responsibility places the pen back in your hand. You may not be able to erase previous chapters, but you can write the next ones with intention. When you fully embrace responsibility, you no longer feel lost. You feel grounded. You understand that freedom is not given, it is claimed through conscious choices, consistent effort, and self-awareness. Responsibility does not limit your life, it expands it. It gives you permission to grow, to change, and to rise. And in that ownership, you discover a freedom no one can take away. One of the most powerful truths about life is this: no matter how long you have been living a certain way, your story is not finished. Many people believe their past has permanently defined them. They see their mistakes as labels, their failures as identities, and their pain as proof that change is impossible. But this belief is an illusion. The truth is, your story can change the moment you decide to take responsibility for it. Life does not lock you into one version of yourself. Every day offers a choice. Repeat the same patterns or step into a new direction. The past may explain where you are, but it does not dictate where you are going. The only thing that truly limits your future is the decision to keep living from an old narrative. When people say that this is just how I am, what they often mean is this is what I have practiced. Habits, behaviors, and emotional responses are learned, and anything learned can be unlearned. The moment you realize this, hope enters the room. Change stops feeling like a miracle and starts feeling like a process. Your story changes when your self-perception changes. As long as you see yourself as broken, unlucky, or behind in life, your actions will unconsciously support that belief. But when you begin to see yourself as capable of growth, learning, and resilience, your behavior naturally shifts. Identity drives action, and action creates results. Responsibility is the turning point. It is the moment you stop saying, "This happened to me," and start saying, "This is what I choose to do next." That decision may feel small, but it carries enormous power. One choice can redirect a life that felt stuck for years. Comparison distorts reality and steals motivation. Everyone's path unfolds differently. When you focus on your own progress instead of someone else's timeline, you move forward with clarity and peace. There will be moments when your past tries to pull you back. Old thoughts, old environments, and old relationships may challenge your growth. This is not failure, it is confirmation that you are evolving. Growth often requires separation from old beliefs, old comforts, and sometimes old versions of yourself. Taking responsibility means accepting that change is not instant, but it is always possible. Progress may be slow, and setbacks may happen, but direction matters more than speed. Each intentional choice moves you closer to the person you are becoming. The most empowering realization is this: you are allowed to outgrow your past. You are allowed to rewrite your narrative. You are allowed to choose again as many times as it takes. Your story is not defined by where you started or what went wrong. It is defined by what you do next. And the moment you take responsibility for your life, you reclaim authorship of your story. And from that moment forward, everything can change. In a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, true peace is often misunderstood. Many people believe inner peace comes from having fewer problems, more money, or perfect relationships. But peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from owning yourself. Ownership is the quiet, powerful decision to take full responsibility for your inner world, regardless of what is happening outside. When you do not own your life, your emotions are easily controlled by external events. Someone's words can ruin your day. A setback can steal your confidence. A delay can create anxiety. This happens because without ownership, you give circumstances the authority to define your emotional state. Ownership takes that authority back. Owning your life means accepting that your thoughts, reactions, and behaviors are your responsibility. It does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging what you feel without letting those feelings control your actions. That emotional maturity is the foundation of inner peace. Inner peace begins when you stop arguing with reality. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates clarity. When you accept what is, you free up energy that was being wasted on frustration and denial. That energy can now be used for growth, healing, and conscious decision-making. Ownership also brings consistency. When you take responsibility for your values, you stop living in contradiction. You no longer say one thing and do another. You no longer chase approval while ignoring your own needs. Living in alignment with your values creates a sense of wholeness that no external success can replace. Many people live with constant inner conflict because they avoid responsibility. They know what they should change, but they delay action. This gap between awareness and action creates stress, guilt, and restlessness. Ownership closes that gap. When you act on what you know is right for you, peace follows naturally. Owning your life also means setting boundaries. You recognize that saying no to others is sometimes saying yes to yourself. Boundaries are not walls, they are acts of self-respect. When you respect your time, energy, and emotional well-being, you create a calm inner environment where peace can exist. Another aspect of ownership is letting go of control over other people. You realize that you cannot manage their behavior, opinions, or choices. Trying to do so only creates frustration. Peace comes when you focus on what is within your control and release what is not. Ownership transforms regret into reflection. Instead of replaying mistakes with shame, you study them with curiosity. You ask, what did this teach me? That mindset turns past pain into present wisdom. Peace is not the absence of mistakes. It is the ability to learn from them without self-judgment. When you fully own your life, you stop seeking constant validation. You no longer need everyone to understand you. You become grounded in your own truth. That groundedness creates a quiet confidence, a calm strength that remains steady even in uncertain times. Inner peace is not loud. It does not announce itself. It shows up as clarity, self-trust, and emotional balance. And the secret behind it is ownership, the willingness to take responsibility for your inner world, your choices, and your direction. When you own your life completely, peace stops being something you chase. It becomes something you live. Taking full responsibility for your life is not a single decision. It is a daily practice. It is the quiet commitment to show up with honesty, courage, and awareness, even when it would be easier to blame, avoid, or delay. Responsibility is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Present with your choices, your thoughts, and your actions. When you accept that you are the common denominator in your life, you reclaim your power. When you release blame, you free yourself from the weight of the past. When you understand that responsibility creates freedom, you stop waiting for permission to live fully. When you realize your story can change at any moment, hope becomes active. And when you embrace ownership, inner peace becomes possible. Life will still challenge you. There will still be uncertainty, setbacks, and moments of doubt, but responsibility changes how you face them. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, who am I becoming through this? That question transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. The truth is, no one else can live your life for you. No one else can think your thoughts, make your choices, or walk your path. And that is not a limitation. It is a gift because it means your life is yours to shape. Taking full responsibility does not make life harder. It makes it clearer. It gives you direction instead of confusion, purpose instead of frustration, and peace instead of resentment. It allows you to move forward without carrying the weight of excuses or regret. The moment you choose responsibility, you choose freedom, you choose growth, you choose peace. And in that choice, you step into the fullest version of who you are meant to be.